Oh, welcome to Retrotainment. Back here with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's up, homie?
Ah, nothing much, nothing much. Just got to rewatch an old classic here, a real classic.
When you use the word classic, this should fall into absolutely everybody's classic category.
Yeah, the original Ghostbusters, 7th of December, 1984.
Week before my birthday,
Yeah,
6 years early.
it's a solid film now. Like, there's no,
Immense.
like, no one's getting close to this, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely immense. I'll tell you
Um,
what, though, the new one fairly got close to it for me.
the new one is very good, but it does rely on the nostalgia of the old one.
Oh,
So
it
I
has
think,
to be. Yeah, you needed the original for the new one to work, obviously, because it's a follow-on. But
yeah, but I think, yeah,
um,
I would agree. I would say this, like the original, then Afterlife, and then number two is probably the way it goes for me.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely, yeah.
that's all the Ghostbusters films. So
I mean, I know the other one. I know we don't talk about the other one, but the extreme funny bit about that other one was that the director went mental.
when they
That
say
they were left out of the trilogy box set.
when they were
And I
told
was
that
like,
they didn't count, yeah, they don't
yeah,
count. They're not real. Yeah, as always, take a quick look at the rating. 75 critics, and the rating is 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is fair.
yep.
Um, Shockingly, audience
Fucking love it.
score is slightly lower in 88%, which
It,
isn't a
it,
bad
it
one either.
lacks a bit of Bill Murray.
Yeah, the 88%, I suppose, you're thinking about
It's
audience.
aged. It's
Yeah,
aged.
as good as the film is, like, it used CGI, and
And
you can really see that it used CGI because it was really not that good in the 80s. Like,
it looks as if there was like a piece of cardboard just floating around at times as well. Like especially when they're in the hotel. Um, But what I would say is just before we go on there, it's kind of sad when you look back at this. Now, obviously, Ivan Reitman passed away there a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
But how nice it must have been for him to produce the new one that his son directed.
yeah, I'd say it was great for him
Yeah.
to be able to do that, and then obviously
The
we've lost.
success of it too.
Yeah, well, we've lost Spangler as well
Yeah, Harold
in the
Ramis.
recent years. Yeah, but you can still watch it back with all the joy that it brought you when you watched it as a
I still
kid.
watch this, and I love this. Like I was here about 2 years ago, and Finn was going through my DVDs, and he's like, "Can we watch Ghostbusters?" Yes, son. Yes, we can.
Yes, all those other stuff you asked. No, this one, yes.
Yeah, we'll give it a
Um,
go. Like this here, like we said it on when we covered it on the slab back near the start. This is a great movie if you're getting kids into like if kids want to watch horror. This is one of them movies that they can watch.
yeah, it's
And
the perfect horror that's like, it's not scary. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing particularly scary about it, but it is
apart
about
from
ghosts.
apart from the lady in the library, remember her face kind of explodes
Yeah,
out.
I suppose technically the like the dog, like the
Oh, the
gargoyle
dog, yeah.
dogs could kind of be a bit much if you're a kid,
But yeah,
but
it's a great
overall
little
it's
builder.
yeah, like, it's not overly scary that it'll leave the kid having, terrifying nightmares, but it's also enough to get them into the idea of ghosts and
Yeah,
things like that.
it's and
So
it's the blend of comedy and what was supposed to be horror. Uh,
I
like
suppose
it still would be.
for a PG film, like kids film, it's enough horror there for that. Like, I suppose you
Yeah,
could go a little bit heavier, but
I don't think it needed it though.
I think they knew they were going the comedy route as well,
Yeah,
which becomes very evident when we see the form that Gozer eventually takes. Like, it's very obvious they were going for comedy, because why would that be what the form? Everyone's thinking about what scared them, and then that's the that's the one thing
I
that it
mean,
takes.
like everyone kind of must have known it was going comedy as well when you signed Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray as
Yeah,
two of the main guys. Harold Ramis, obviously another great comedy writer, actor, everything in between.
yeah, and
And then
Rick Moranis was there as well.
well, Rick was just a goat at that time.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like you have him in your film, you're kind of thinking we've got a bit of comedy. There must be a bit of comedy in this.
Like Ernie Hudson, I think, was probably the only one that I haven't really seen in many comedies.
Well, the thing is that Ernie wasn't a big name at this point.
No, but that's what I mean. Like Bill Murray and obviously Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis were all known for
Yeah.
comedy work, whether to be stand up or whatnot, or comedy writing. And then there's Ernie Hudson. Now, I might be wrong with that, but I don't know much of him.
No, well, on the big screen, Ernie Hudson definitely wasn't all that well known, and it's not like he went on to do a massive amount of comedy films after this. He kind of did a mixture.
In The Crow.
Yeah, like he's brilliant in The Crow, and like he's brilliant in pretty much everything he does, to be fair to him. But it's just this was like the platform to get him his name in Hollywood. A decent box office out of this as well, 295.2 million. Now I don't know if that's like already adjusted, but
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think. I would say it could be, because you have to keep in mind that like people maybe didn't have as much disposable income back then. But even without that, that's still a good take to get in. Like,
I think it's Warner Brothers that made it, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
They wouldn't turn their nose up at that anyway.
No, I don't think anyone would. The film it opens, as you said, in the library, and as you said, like this is probably is one of the scarier parts, but I love that, you know, they're going like it starts in a library and we just see the librarian putting stuff back, and then the two books just float across and put each other in the wrong spots.
Yeah, it's simple comedy.
Yeah, like, you know, and she doesn't notice, and then the cards start flying up in the air, and that's when, like, you know, she sees the ghost, runs out, and we immediately get the theme song, which is great. Like, because now sometimes you don't get that till the end. They hold it off to build the anticipation. They just give it to you straight away.
They use it very well in this.
Yeah,
they use it. They don't use it too often, but when they do, it's perfectly placed.
Oh yeah, and it does work there, because you hear her scream, and then, you know, if the scream kind of fades out and the theme song kind of fades in, yeah, it's very good. Then we get to see our first Ghostbuster, which is, he's not a Ghostbuster at this time, but he's you know, he's studying the mystical arts, let's say, Dr. Venkman.
He's genius. This man is pure genius.
This is like classic 80s comedy, you know, like he's an old horn dog essentially, like, you know.
He's chatting you on up, it's gas.
It's so, like, he's chatting her up, and then we learned that he's paying both of them $5 to come in, and they're getting electrically shocked if they get it wrong. Now, your man keeps getting it wrong, which, to be fair, he does get it wrong the first two times. So there's no issue with him being shocked the first two times. Now, she gets it wrong as well, and he just pretends she's got it right, which, you know, a bit unfair. But the third time is the worst, because he actually gets it right, and he gets shocked anyway. That's the worst of it, you know? And then he's like, that's it. There's only 160 more to go. And he's like, well, I'm not staying here for $5 for that.
Yeah, fuck that.
But you can kind of see here that, you know, Venkman doesn't necessarily believe that this is real, you know?
He does say it quite a bit as well.
He's just like, yeah, I think you have the, you know, you have the gift and stuff, but he's clearly just chatting this girl up.
Yeah. And then you get thing comes bursting in.
Stance, comes bursting in.
Come on, we got a call.
we got a live one. Well, not alive, but, you know.
It's so good. Like, if you missed the opening scene of this and came in, didn't hear the theme song, didn't know what movie it was, like, if you walked into the cinema, say 5 minutes late,
yeah,
you're going, what the hell's going on here? And then it just goes hell for leather.
Yeah, it's great though, because he's like, yeah, Stance, but I've already got something going on here. And he's like, no, come on, we gotta go. And he's like, right, here, this is my number. I'll get you if you come back here at, and then he waits for her to say it. And like, he was going to agree whatever time she said, he was going to say, that's the time I was thinking of. You could just see it in him. Like, she says 8 o'clock, he's like, yeah. And they go off to the library, and, you know, the librarian's in complete shock.
As you would be.
Yeah, and he just starts asking her questions, and even his questions, you can tell he doesn't believe her. He's like, have you been taking drugs? No. Have you got any mental illness in your family? Like, he clearly still doesn't believe her.
Yeah.
And then,
to be fair, most skeptics would be doing things like that anyway.
Yeah, they would, but, you know, he's, you know, the whole department that he works for is meant to be one that believes in this, and he clearly doesn't. The other
He's
two
gas,
boys
man.
are the other two boys are all in on it though.
I love Spangler though. He's like, yeah, we gotta go get this, bring that.
Yeah, I love that they go down, right, and they see, like, they eventually see the ghost, and like the ectoplasm and stuff is there. But just before they see the ghost, they're kind of like they're talking about something, and I think it was Stance turns around and he goes, "Listen, do you smell something?" What? Like, what? How does that work? Like, why? Like, it's just the perfect comedy line, you know. Listen, and you're thinking you'll hear something in the background, and you hear nothing. And his thing is, do you smell something? And they never explain what he smells. It's just, you know,
I smell.
it's the perfect comedy line because it's something you don't really think of when you first watch it, but when you get the rewatch in, you're like, Jesus, what comedy gold is
There's
that?
so many little one-liners that you mightn't pick up one time you watch it. You watch it the next time, and you're like,
Yeah, it was only when I rewatched it here, I was like, Jesus, I'd completely forgotten that this was one of their like little
it's so
gags.
random.
Yeah, and well, then they see the ghost, and as you said,
But
the ghost is fine when she's just floating there, and then they come up with the plan of let's just rush at her. That'll do something.
bull rush it, yeah.
Yeah, and then you know she kind of like screams at them with the big scary face. They just run out. Goodbye.
Good luck. I'd have been long gone.
Yeah, oh, they were well gone.
There's a Greg-shaped hole in that wall.
Yeah, they lose their funding from the university though after this.
The dean is a dickhead.
Yeah, he is, especially now that they've actually got proof that ghosts are real. Like, why not cancel them like 6 months ago when they had nothing? You wait until they get actual proof and then canceling them.
Yeah, it's
Not on.
I mean, like it isn't, but how many times like they ran out? They're supposed to be doing what they can, and they legged it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd be fairly terrified. They thought they were going to see a ghost and they'd be able to like communicate with it. Not that it was going to like rush at them when they rushed at it.
The bull rush turned around on them.
Yeah, but this is when Venkman obviously believes now, and he sees it as a money idea. He's like, we can make money off this. So they put Stance's house up for
second mortgage.
For a second, they like remortgage it, and then they just start spending all the money. And they obviously buy the place that has the big fire pole in it.
Has to. The place is in tatters too.
I love this though, that because obviously Spangler and Venkman are trying to get your one to bring the price down a bit. And Stance comes down the pole and he's like, yeah, we got to buy this place. This is so good. And they're like, right. How much?
It's gone.
Yeah, like they knew. They just were like, right, she's got us now. Like he's given the game away here.
Yeah, what happens? I don't want it.
Yeah, but this is when we get introduced to the other kind of main character here in Dana.
Yeah, this is just the most random character.
Yeah, she just.
I mean, you're talking about 86, so she's major off the back of Alien and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for I think like a major character or a major actress like herself to come in and like it's a secondary character essentially.
Oh yeah, she's definitely like I don't even know if she's the secondary because I would say I know that I know they're not
Rick
using.
Moranis will be.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like the four Ghostbusters are the primaries, so she's like the fifth kind of in this to a sense.
Well, I wouldn't even say she was 5. I'd say she was 6 on the billing. I'd say Rick Moranis is.
No, I'd say on the billing she's top name.
Like
when you're trying to sell this, you're selling Murray, Moranis, Aykroyd, and
Weaver,
Sigourney Weaver. Like, those are the 4 names you're putting up. You're not putting up Ernie Hudson's name, like, not at this time.
Sorry, Ernie.
But she comes in, and this is where we see Rick Moranis. He comes out, and he's clearly just infatuated with her. And
he's infatuated with everybody.
But I love. He's like, just finished a 10-minute workout. It's normally a 20-minute one, but I condensed it down. And you're like, that's not how it works, man. Like, you can't take a 20-minute workout and do it in 10 minutes. It doesn't work like that.
What's that? 5-minute abs done in 2.5.
Yeah, he's so funny. But
he keeps inviting her over.
Yeah, he's like, I've got a party coming up, and she's like, yeah, maybe, like, kind of leave me alone. Like, I'm gonna go into my apartment here. Can you just fuck off, really? Like,
she has they're really nice apartments as well when you look at them.
Well, she's got the penthouse.
Yeah, but even his one.
His one's pretty nice as well. Yeah. Well, I suppose if it's next to the penthouse because it's literally across the door from her.
I'd imagine they're all the same, really.
Yeah, they're all relatively the same, but so they must be doing well for. Well, he obviously does well for himself.
Yeah,
We
he does. Yeah.
we never really learn what she does. Like
You don't find anything out about her at all, really. She
no,
works in an art gallery. We know that from
yeah, the a
two.
bit, yeah, and a little bit later on in this, you see that she was doing the presentation with some guy, and she meets Venkman outside in the like courtyard.
Yeah. But
But
that's in the college, yeah.
yeah, she must be making serious money doing whatever she's doing. But she goes into her apartment, and then we see the eggs start cooking on the like the kitchen island.
They just start popping, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great because you know when they first start rattling, you're like, oh, what's gonna come out of them? Nothing, just
The
eggs, man.
egg, the
Yeah, it's just
yolk.
egg, like nothing in here. And then you hear the growling from the fridge, and
I
this
love
is
that. It's
yeah.
gas, isn't it?
She's kind of looking around and she's like, what the hell is that? And then
Yeah.
opens the fridge and there's just this
Gozer.
it's a portal to another dimension, and she hears the word Zool.
Everybody loves Zool.
Yeah, and then obviously she slams it shut, and she goes down to visit the Ghostbusters because she's seen their ad on the telly before she went into the kitchen.
The most cringy ad
It's-
you've
it's-
ever seen. Like,
It's proper 80s though, isn't it?
do you need help? Call the Ghostbusters.
She goes down and the offices are obviously quite dead, but she walks in and I love Venkman jumping over the little gate and everything to get to her.
Yeah. Hup.
Such a horn dog he is the whole film.
We should just call him Rockhound.
Yeah, but I love they bring her inside and they're kind of discussing it, and the two boys are taking it really seriously and they're like, I'll do this and I'll do this. Oh yeah, and I'll do that. And he's like, and then I'll go back to her apartment. And she's kind of like, what about this? And he goes back and there's nothing there. Like it's completely empty. And she's kind of like, he keeps trying to hit on her.
He runs in, he jumps on the bed and everything.
Yeah.
He's gassy.
But like when he goes into the bed, she's like, when he goes into the bedroom, she's like, there was nothing happening there. And he comes out and he just goes, what a shame. He's such a fucking...
It's Murray magic.
Yeah, like this is stuff that probably wouldn't be too acceptable today, but in the 80s, that's seen as like the perfect joke, you know?
Well, I mean, that probably would.
That would, but like the whole, like a lot of his character is very,
Oh yeah, kind of rapey.
It's not rapey, but it's very, like predatory sort of thing. Like he has these college students in and he's, hitting on one of the people that's a student. So it's a bit weird. But like in the 80s, that was all kind of just seen for what it was. It was meant to be comedy. Like there was never meant to be anything serious in it, But
it was just stick comedy, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, when she has nothing in the apartment, he just keeps asking her out, and she's like, "Can you get out of my apartment? Like you're no use to me."
Yeah, can you want to go for dinner? No.
Yeah, but
no.
That's when they get their big break. Just after this is when they get called to that hotel, and we see the Ecto-1 that they're after doing up because it was a real shit box when it was a real shit box when they bought it, and like Stance was the one who went and bought it, and he got ripped off then as well. Like
one of the single greatest vehicles in movie history.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But they get to the hotel and they have these packs on their back that are meant to be for like containing containing a thing, and it's basically a nuclear reactor on your back. And
it's literally, I don't know if whatever one you watch first, this or Back to the Future. It's like it's disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, but I love this. Like they go in and they're like, we haven't even had a chance to test these, and you're like, you're bringing these nuclear reactor things in that you've never tested into this hotel. All right.
Yeah, your man's hilarious as well.
When they
Don't wreck my hotel.
I love when they're in the lift and they turn on Stance's one, and you see Spangler and Venkman kind of stand back as far away as they can in this tiny little lift, and they're just like covering themselves. So funny.
Poor old Spangler.
Yeah, but like they get down right, and they kind of like they fire the streams once. Like they fire, and I said earlier that the CGI isn't great. I actually think the CGI for the streams is
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
brilliant. Yeah, the
It's
blue
more
with the yellow through the middle.
yeah, it's more the dog bit isn't great, and
But I wouldn't
Slimer's
even like the
not
dog
great.
isn't fully CGI either. It looks like it's stop go.
Yeah, like it looks like when they have it standing still, it's not CGI, but when they have it on the move, it clearly is.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that would have been near impossible to make.
No, it would have been, and that's the thing. Like Slimer's not awful, but he's not great, and you only get a glimpse of him really in this.
Yeah, it's a shame like, he's not in this for that long. Like Slimer went on to be like Gizmo from
Yeah, like he's the
from
he's like the
yeah,
sidekick by the like in the cartoons and stuff of it.
yeah.
But it's after they done their failed attempt at capturing Slimer the first time that Spangler thinks to tell them, oh, actually, don't make sure you don't cross the streams.
Yeah.
And
Don't
like,
do that. If there's a movie rule that everyone knows, don't cross the streams.
But like you have to think like this is the first time they've ever used them. He didn't tell them that before, so like they could easily have crossed those streams beforehand and caused this massive like explosion, and he'd have been like, I knew I was something I was meant to tell them.
Yeah, it was real funny when he tells him, he's like, what'll happen? It'll suck all the particles in and then it'll cause like a mini black hole and you'll die.
Yeah. Okay. I love how Venkman just accepts that. And he's just like, okay, don't cross the streams.
Yeah, and then like I know it's thing, but like in the new one, then they just do it anyway.
Yeah, well, you know, they worked out that it was okay by the end of this one, that they could if in a controlled environment. But
it's gas, don't it?
they absolutely wreck this hotel after your man telling them, make sure you don't wreck my hotel.
I love how he's waiting to let the wedding guests in.
Yeah, but they absolutely wreck the whole place, like firing it around, and like, you know, they get Slimer and they get him into the trap that they have set up. And they come out and Venkman's like, so it's a standard 4,000 and we actually have a special on. It's only 1,000 for us to keep hold of the ghost. And your man is like, he still hasn't looked into the room to see how much damage they've caused. And he's like, I'm not giving you $5,000. And he's like, oh, well, we can just let him back out now if you want then. And he's like, Stance, let him out. And he's like, okay. And he's like, no, fine. Here's your $5,000.
I wonder how much damage they done.
Oh, way more than 5,000 because the room is in tatters. They've knocked the chandelier down and everything. It's in bits.
And they've wrecked the hallways upstairs as well.
That's actually when they first. That's when they get told don't cross the streams. Is when they shoot it at the poor cleaning lady, nearly kill her, and he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. But
that poor lady, yeah, the poor cat that got taken too.
Yeah, business starts booming after this because obviously everyone now believes in ghosts and they know that the boys can capture them, and that's when we get Winston coming in here, Ernie, and he's just like
he just needs a job.
Do you believe in this? Listen, I'll believe in anything they want as long as there's money.
Good old Ernie.
Yeah, he's like, I'll believe in anything. Just get me out there. But you know, they kind of split out the work then between like two of them will go out and two of them will stay at the kind of
at the compound.
Yeah, like kind of a house because they seem to be sleeping upstairs a lot in it as well.
Yeah, it's an old fire station.
Yeah, and they seem to be staying there most of their time. So like,
well, I suppose you're on 24-hour call, really.
Yeah, you are. But you know, Venkman then wanders off and he's like, I'm gonna go meet up with Dana now that I'm famous, you know. He goes and meets up with her. Well, it does because she kind of agrees. She's like, okay, fine, you can come around for dinner if you want to inspect the like apartment again. But you know, he knows like that she's kind of fallen for him a bit here.
It's his witty charm.
Yeah, you know, it's his witty charm. She's fallen for him, and you know, then he gets back to HQ and we see one of the real dicks of the film now. The
EPA.
Yeah, he comes in and he's asking them all questions like, how do you have the power grid up? And he's like, listen, you just don't need to know that. You just don't need to worry. We have all these ghosts captured. It's fine. And Venkman, like, he's just refusing to let them see where he keeps the ghosts. And then we hear from Spangler that the storage unit is basically nearly full. And he says to Winston and Stance, he's like, I feel like there's something big coming, you know? The activity just keeps.
The ghosts are coming from, yeah.
It's like, yeah, they just keep ramping up. Something big is coming, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But
poor old Rick takes this one bad.
yeah, it's strange because it cuts back to Dana at her apartment, right? And we see that there's a party going on next door.
I love how she creeps by as well.
Oh, well, she tries to. It's like he's got super senses.
He's Rick Moranis. He can do what he wants.
Comes barging out, and he's like, "Are you coming over?" And she's like, "Actually, no. I've organized something." And he's like, "Oh, bring him along too."
He just doesn't care. Rick's a goat in this though. Rick is just brilliant in everything, and it was very sad to see him kind of just drift away.
Yeah, especially for the reason that he drifted away because he was.
It's good. There's a lot of rumors now that he's coming back.
I've heard that he plans on coming back now because the kids the kids are old enough to kind of be looking after themselves, but still a horrible situation.
Yeah. We've seen the same thing with Brendan Fraser as well. Obviously, a different personal situation, but he come back. I'd love to see Rick Moranis come back. I just hope it's not in the terms of, oh, we'll do another Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something like that.
Yeah, I think
that's not needed.
I think that's had its day. I was actually a little bit upset that he wasn't in the new Ghostbusters. I kind of was really hoping that
spoiler for everyone. Yeah, I really wanted that. That's what I thought would have been the one to get him back.
I thought the little post-credit scene might have been him. But
do you know where I actually thought it might have been him? Remember they turned Paul Rudd and thing into the dogs?
Yeah.
And then they flipped them back. I was like hoping that it was Rick Moranis that came out of the.
No, I thought we might
the shell.
I thought we might get him as the just at the very end, when like the little post-credit scene. I thought you might get him there.
Did you notice the mistake in that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, they posted Sigourney Weaver's name before the.
Yeah, before you get to, yeah, that was the slight issue, but I'd let them away with it. But,
I wonder was that though. That also mightn't have been a mistake. They might have done that in a way to keep.
Yeah, to have you gone, wait, I didn't see Sigourney Weaver, and then you'd stay that little bit extra. But we see well, he gets locked out of Luis gets locked out of his apartment again, which is obviously Rick Moranis' character. He gets locked out every time he comes out to visit her. He forgets his keys and gets locked out, and we see him banging.
The man's clearly infatuated.
Yeah, but he's like banging on the door to let them back. Like, hey, let me in. It's me. Let me in. And I love in his party. He's like, oh, by the way, like none of these people are my friends. They're all clients, so they can claim the money back. He's such a tight bastard.
It's all expenses.
Yeah, but this is when we see
So that would obviously tell you he's either an accountant or a solicitor or something.
No, he's definitely an accountant because he keeps talking about filing tax returns and stuff. And he's like, who does your taxes?
Oh, yeah.
He's always asking people that. Like, so he is. This is but we see Dana get attacked in her apartment,
Yeah, the chair.
The chair like holds her down, and then the dog comes out, and it's Zol, the gatekeeper.
Key master.
Yeah, and he's like, where's the key master? And then we see, obviously, I love that, it cuts back over to Rick Moranis' apartment, and he takes someone's coats and just fires them into this room, and it's just this big dog sitting there, and nobody notices it. And he's like, who brought the dog? Because he hears the growling, and then it comes charging out, and he's like, oh shit.
Who brought the tiger?
Who brought a bear?
It's just so funny.
This is one of the slight inconsistencies in this film, is that everyone at the party can see the dog. When he runs down the stairs, people can see the dog chasing him.
But when he goes outside,
even outside, the people outside can see it. But then he gets to the restaurant, and he's like banging on the window to be let in, and then he like slides down as it jumps at him. But no one there could see the dog. So there's a slight inconsistency there, which is, I'd say, what kind of marks it down a little bit for people.
I'd probably have to watch it closely and pause on it. But would I be right in saying the window has a concrete pillar underneath, and maybe that's why they don't see it?
Possibly, but you'd
see it jump at him.
You'd have seen that there was something chasing him. Like, they all just looked out at him, ignored him, and then he drops down, and they just continue to ignore him. So, it's a slight inconsistency. It's not a big one, but I would say that I'd imagine that's what marks it down that little bit for some people.
Good doggy.
Yeah. But this makes him the key master, so you've now got Dana, the gate master, and him as the key master. And Venkman shows up at Dana's apartment, and he knocks on the door. And she comes out, "Are you the key master?" No. Slams the door in his face.
And then
You know,
knocks it again. Are you the key master? Oh yeah.
oh yeah, me, yeah, I'm the key master. He's crafty. He knows the scale.
He knows the stick here.
But he goes in and
She looks
she's
completely different.
yeah, like she's dressed in like very like small amount of clothing and stuff, and she's all over him like, and he's
I
just kind of
mean,
like, this is a bit weird. Hang on now,
that's not right.
this isn't normal. And then there's a nice little nod to The Exorcist here, where she's lying on the bed, and then she floats above it.
Yeah,
It's a nice little nod, like
there's touches to a lot of ghost movies in this
yeah,
that get or yeah, ghost movies you'd say that kind of came before. And there wasn't many major ones that came before this, but there are some touches like of old school horrors in it as well.
yeah, there is. But I love that, like, he ties her down, like gets her back asleep, and while all that's happening, we hear like the police have shown up at the headquarters, and they're like, we found this guy roaming the streets, and they said he's not from the the mental institution, so we didn't know what to do with him, so we brought him here. And it's Rick Moranis, but he's like really disheveled, like really, really disheveled, and he's been like talking to horses and everything.
He's been on the sauce for about
Yeah, he
42
looks
days.
absolutely in bits. But Spangler and Venkman get in contact with each other, and they're like, okay, we need to keep the two of these apart because she's looking for him, he's looking for her. Let's just keep them apart. And it looks like they have a solid plan here until that piece of shit cop shows up again, and he makes them turn off the contamination, like the containment field, which just releases all the ghosts. Like, what an
You just
idiot!
caught all these. Like, why
Yeah,
would
like,
you let them back out?
he's just, what a dick. Like, lets them all back out, and then now there's chaos in the city, and while all that's happening, Luis has escaped and he's gone back to his apartment because he now knows where he was waiting for a sign, and that was the sign. So like then he looks up at the sky, and you can see him just watching the sky and walking back in a line while
And
watching the sky.
He's like,
Yeah, he's so panty,
yeah.
panting all the time. Like, but the two of them get back together, and it's a bit strange because the boys are in the holding cell, and they've got the schematics basically of the building that Dana lives in. And they're like, nobody builds buildings like this. And all the prisoners are like surrounding them, looking down, as if any of them have a clue about what's going on.
Not a note. They're just here for it. They're trying to get themselves out.
Yeah. But we get,
how can we help?
This is when they get called by the mayor, like, because, all these ghosts have escaped. And the mayor calls them in. And he's like, what do we do? And, Stance gives him a plan. And the police officer guy's like, you're not seriously going to believe them. And I think it's Spangler calls him Dickless. Is it Spangler or Stance? One of them calls him Dickless anyway.
It's
and
Dan Aykroyd says it,
yeah. Yeah, so it is. It's Stance that says it, this guy, you dickless prick. And then the mayor kind of cuts to Venkman. He's like, now listen, is this true? Like, because the police officer claims that they've been, putting some sort of toxin in the air that are making people hallucinate and believe they're catching ghosts when they're not. And I love it.
Hallucinogenic, yeah.
Yeah, I love it though, because like Bill Murray's response, it's just so cold. He's like, yeah, it is true. This man has no dick. you're just like, what a fucking legend.
Well, I mean, again, I use the words Murray magic.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then he's like, listen, you have two choices here. You can just let this happen, and then when it comes voting time, you're the mayor that let all this happen. Or two, you let us go try and fix it. And even if we make a mess of it, it doesn't come back to you. But if we don't, like if we succeed in what we're trying to do, that's a lot of lives, a lot of voters' lives you've saved. And this is where you see why Venkman is so good at this stuff, because he's so good at like,
it's quick talk and quick ideas.
He knows how to like get under someone's skin to get like what he wants. So the mayor obviously lets him go, and they go down to the building with all the black clouds, obviously Dana's apartment, all the black clouds forming over it, and the fucking half the apartment blown to smithereens. Like
the whole top half is now like a sun lounger room.
Yeah. Now before they get there, obviously Luis has got there, and he's gone into the room, and there's a bit of like, it's never said or anything, but I think it's kind of implied because his belt is open and stuff. I think it's kind of implied that they they've slept together here.
Lose the deal.
Yeah, you know, he finally got what he wanted out
Now,
of.
the only thing is, when you see the new one,
Yeah,
it confirms that actual thing because you see it happening again.
yeah. So it is like, you know, it's not really referenced here. It's just the belt, like his belt is open. But she was also, you know, when
And,
she thought Bill
and
Murray was like when she thought Venkman was the key master, she was trying very hard to have
get
sex with
the
him, like, you
yeah.
know.
I love it though. He has a big smile on his face as well.
Yeah, he's so happy with himself. It's just he's so good. But
I mean, you probably couldn't have got a better person.
no, he was the top
Yeah,
dog to get there. But the ground collapses under them as they're going in. Like there's this big earthquake, and everyone's terrified that they're dead, and they just climb back out. And Venkman's loving it. He's like, yeah, yeah, we're gonna go get them. Yeah, come on, guys.
it's gas. The road just collapses from nothing. Like,
Yeah, but they get up there, and this is when we see Gozer make it the appearance, and he's like, I thought Gozer was a guy, and he's like, Gozer can be whatever you want it to be because it's a woman this time, like, and
exactly what Spangler wanted.
yeah, and then you know they try to hit her with the streams, and they just can't. She's just like too quick, and then they think they've hit her, and then they hear the voice, and it's like, choose what you will. What will be the destruction of your world? And Venkman's like, everyone, just don't think of anything. And Venkman is like, yeah, my mind's empty. Spangler says his mind's empty. Winston says his mind's empty. And then Stance just goes, oh no. She's like, you have chosen. Wait, no, we didn't choose anything. She's like, yes. And they look at Stance and he's like, I tried to think of something that wouldn't be scary. And I thought of, you know,
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like, that can't be scary, right? And I'll tell you, it doesn't look scary when it first arrives. It's this big, massive. And this is what I was saying earlier, you know, they could have gone anything here. They could have gone something real scary. But like they went the complete opposite way. And this is why you know they were going for comedy more than horror, because they could have done anything here. And they went with a big giant marshmallow.
Do you know what would have been like? I think as good as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was. Remember, like even in The Simpsons, they do like the Lard Boy donuts.
Yeah,
something like that would have been.
But see, the Simpsons wouldn't have done the Lard Boy donuts if you didn't have the Stay Puft. Yeah, and like that's what's so good about it.
Yeah, but like something like that, like the Stay Puft was obviously a huge thing.
Yeah,
the Lard Boy donuts, whatever the main brand in America is, that actually has that kind of guy.
Yeah, and it's so good though, like because it comes out and it's this massive thing, but it has a big like happy smile on its face, and you're like, look at it, it looks real nice, and it's like stepping on cars, and it eventually starts looking
Godzilla.
Yeah, it starts looking like a bit. It starts looking a bit angry after a while, and they fire the streams at it, which you know it's made of marshmallow. All that does is, yeah, well, one, it pisses it off, and now it's on fire, and it's like climbing up this building. It's on fire.
I love how the makeup on it and whatever, like you can see it toasting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's so good. And then they realized, you know, well, Spangler realized that he's like, I know how we can stop it. If we cross the streams and fire them at the portal, it'll reverse it and suck Gozer back in. You know,
genius.
The thing that they're, the thing that they were told, you know, if we do this, we might create a black hole and kill everyone. But I mean, I suppose you're also at the risk if you don't do it that this giant marshmallow man is
dead now.
Yeah, this giant marshmallow man's going to kill everyone anyway. So they go for it, and it blows the shit out of the building as well.
Oh yeah, that building is all sorts of fucked up.
It kills the marshmallow man, which explodes everywhere with the marshmallow raining down on everyone.
I mean, I could think of worse things to come down.
Yeah, but it's you know, like they destroy it, and then it looks like, you know, the dogs turn back into statues, and they're kind of like, right, I think that's the two of them dead as well. And then it kind of starts crumbling, and they free them, you know, and it's, you know, Venkman frees Dana, and
of course he does.
Luis comes out, and the first thing out of Luis's mouth is, "You guys must make a lot of money. Like, who does your taxes? You're like, you fucking."
I mean, that's Rick Moranis at his best. It's the quick talking.
Yeah, it is, and
quick wit kind of character.
If someone told me that line wasn't written to the script, and it was just, they were like, right, Rick, when you come out, you just have to say something, anything. Yeah. I 100% believe that he was like, yeah, that'd work for this. Like,
I imagine he ad-libbed quite a bit of his character.
I would say so. Yeah, I'd say some of it was just like you just have to be like a little bit creepy to her now, and he was like, okay, grand, I got it.
I know exactly what I'm going to do.
But I love it. They come down and they're all being celebrated, and they're all going back off to the Ecto-1, and obviously Bill Murray finally gets his kiss from Dana. But like, I love this. They're all getting taken off one way, and then Rick Rick Moranis' character gets taken the other way. And he's like, "No, I want to go in the vehicle with them." And they're like, "Come on, you,
Get in there."
come on, you come this way." And like, what an end to the film, Like
it's just a great movie overall. It's a really enjoyable, heartfelt comedy horror.
Yeah, it's the standard, good guys win,
against all odds, the good guys win.
Yeah, and then the guy gets the girl. Like, it's the standard thing of that, but it's so good. Like, and as I said, the main bad guy is a big fucking, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah. And like, that thing is iconic now,
Yeah. And I love the little throw in the new one. I know this is Retrotainment and we go back to the old one, but the new one.
All the little all the small Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. It's brilliant.
But like, this movie is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a timeless classic. Like,
it didn't age perfectly, but it aged well enough that young people now should still hold enough attention to watch it.
Yeah, see, the problem is that it's aged very well in terms of a story and in terms of like nothing in it is overly risque or none of the actors or actresses or anyone in it has kind of like
been
disgraced in any way. The thing that doesn't hold up is the CGI of the dog and Slimer's not great and stuff.
40 years, is it? 40? No, 35 years.
No, I think
86.
Yeah, 84 came out.
Or 84, sorry, 84. So
it's just shy of the 40, like 40, it's 38 years. Like, so I don't blame it for not being great for that, but that's the bit that doesn't hold up. Everything else I think holds up. Even the streams I think hold up. Now they obviously look nicer and cleaner in the new version.
Yeah.
But they still they didn't have to change that because they did it so well the first time.
Just copy a winning formula and just get on with it. Like, it's obviously going to look better when it's in HD as well, or 4K or whatever it was.
Yeah. I also love the boiler suits that they have on them. They're so good.
They're literally just caddy suits.
Yeah, but the thing is that we've said this before about certain on certain shows, the simplicity of it. Like, obviously the rest of the stuff's quite difficult to replicate, but if you were a young kid and you wanted to dress up as the Ghostbusters, all you needed was a grey jumpsuit, stick a name on it. And okay, even if you didn't have the toy, if you didn't have the toy trap and you didn't have the stuff to put in your back, even if you don't have any of that, which, could be made out of cardboard and stuff, like, because it's, everyone's going to know it's not a real thing. But like, it's so simplistic. Like, let's just buy, gray tracksuit bottoms and like a gray top. But like, obviously, an overall if you can, but if you couldn't afford that, like, it's quite a cheap method.
Yeah, and I'd say in 84 when this came out, so this was December of 84, so Halloween of 85, I'd say at least 50% of people were Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It was quite a simple thing for like parents to make the kids and stuff as well.
Low income as well.
Yeah, like, and that works really well. And we've said it before in other shows, like that this is something you can put out. Like in the recent on the Slab show, we were saying about we look back at Scream and we're like, look how easy it was. It's literally just a mask. You put that mask on, it doesn't matter what else you wear. Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, it's the same. Like when we're saying there about the boiler suit, look back at the original Halloween.
Yeah, again,
it was the easiest one to do. You know what I mean? A William Shatner mask turned inside out and a jumpsuit.
Yeah, but like if you have that jumpsuit and just any old mask on, and a knife, people are gonna get who you were dressed up as well. A
white mask. That's all you needed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great, like, the way they thought about things like that back then was, and I don't know, like, maybe that wasn't the way. Maybe it was just, obviously they needed to use CGI in this, so they were probably like, right, we need to cut the budget down elsewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened here. It's probably partially that, but at the same time, this was obviously going to be a big budget film if you're getting in Sigourney Weaver, who as you said, was just coming off the back of like huge fame in Alien and Aliens. You've got Dan Aykroyd.
Genius.
You've got Bill
Genius.
Murray, Rick Moranis. You know, like the other two boys aren't huge names at this time.
Harold Ramis had done a lot of screenwriting for things.
Yes, he had a lot of screenwriting, but in terms of like on-screen stuff, he wasn't a big name, you know.
No, but a genius, and like I never really understood how well respected of a person he was in Hollywood up until he actually passed away.
Him and Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd, even not as an actor, is really highly respected in Hollywood as a writer and stuff.
He was doing a lot of help seminars for people and showing them how to do things right. And
and it's a great loss that
No, I mean everyone has to go at some stage. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but and it it's the sort of thing that you've grown up with this as a childhood classic, and I know like we're it was probably about 10 years old before me and you were watching it, you know.
Yeah.
Because we would have only been getting to that age to be watching it at that point. But, it's still something that we grew up with.
Yeah, well, I remember the first time I seen this, my Uncle Pat literally had it on VHS. He had 1 and 2. And I said it when I done the On the Slab with the King.
Yeah.
I was like, he handed me the first one and I was able to watch 1 and 2 back to back.
Yeah, and it was great, to be honest. Like, there is a difference between this and the second one. Like the second one isn't as good as this. It is good. It's still good.
It's enjoyable.
This is just
phenomenal.
I sat down and rewatched this recently. Not that I didn't particularly need to. Like I normally rewatch all of the stuff that we're going to do as a show.
Yeah.
And then obviously
this was always going to come up at some stage.
Yeah, there's a few that I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen the first episode I'd ever done with you. Like I hadn't seen it, and I was like, oh, it was really good. But this is one that, this is one I didn't need to go back and watch. Like there was no need for me to go back and watch this. But I was like, any excuse really. Like, and that's the truth. Any excuse, I'll put this back on.
I sometimes, if I really want to watch it, and like if me and Finn are here, I'll leave the box out.
So he asks,
the telly. We watch Ghostbusters, yeah, bud.
That's that's top brain thinking there.
And then when it was on Netflix, it was even better.
It's back on Netflix now again.
I'm not telling him that though. I'm not watching it 24 times. Although I have watched the new one with him a couple of times. Like we obviously got to go to the premiere of the new one, the special fan screening, and it's the first kind of adult movie that we brought him to see in the cinema.
Yeah.
Now, when I say adult movie, I don't mean fucking X-rated movies.
It's a bit young for that.
Yeah, it's the first like non-cartoon movie.
Yeah, it's the first live action sort of film that he's.
That's the right word, live action. And he sat there for 90% of it up until I got to a certain point. He started getting a bit creeped out when they brought Gozer back into it. Yeah,
this one was a little bit like the newer one's a little bit different. It's a bit more like they pushed the boundary a little bit more. But I love that the new one came out, because now you've got the new younger generation who, okay, maybe this original one from the 80s isn't like, I'm like Finn watches it, but it's, as he gets a little bit older, it won't be a timeless classic to him in the sense that,
it's just going to be an old movie.
It's just a film that he likes watching. But this new one, I think, is good enough for him to fall in love with. And the new one to become like 20, 30 years on, when he's that bit older, that this will be like a timeless classic for him to be able to go back and be like, let's watch this.
I went to the premiere of this.
Yeah, and like if he has kids and stuff, he can go back and he'd be like, this is a great film. And like you show them that one, you'd show them this one first, so that they know
who's who.
But like it keeps that on, but it gets a new generation a timeless classic rather than trying to keep getting people to go back and watch the 80s one.
Yeah, it's very well done. And like the family affair that the father obviously directed this one.
Yeah.
And then the son Jason directed the new one with the dad producing it. Obviously Ivan produced it. Now the one thing I would have said, I wish it happened maybe 4 or 5 years earlier and we would have had Harold Ramis involved. Now I would say he probably had something to do with the script. I'd say that script was in production for.
I think the script was probably in production, and I know what you mean. That would have been nice to have Spangler there, but I think, like as sad as it was to lose him, I think him having passed away and using him the way they do in this film
Oh, that brought a tear
It,
to my
it
eye.
adds so much to the film, and what a like
That's gonna
pulling on
win.
the
Yeah,
heartstrings. Like
that's gonna win an Oscar. That
I
has
think
to win an Oscar.
I think that bit there might, I think that
Yeah, best
that bit,
CGI.
yeah, I think it could, because it's so good. It looks exactly like he would look, you know.
I just when I was sitting there and it happened, I was like, don't look at me. There's
Yeah.
someone cutting onions in here.
Who the hell brought onions to the cinema, man?
No, yeah, it was phenomenal. Like I love this. I watched this. I've probably seen this 300-400 times.
I couldn't tell you how many
Yeah,
times I've seen this. And obviously, like, my favorite film is Space Jam, but there's a little throwback in Space Jam even to this. When Bill Murray walks out and we've got Danny DeVito as the main villain, and he's
yeah.
like,
Who
I
let
didn't
that
know
guy in?
Dan Aykroyd was in this flick. And I
Yeah,
just love that, because it's just the two of them were at the time, they were the big names.
they were the competitors. Yeah, they were competing for the same parts.
Yeah, like it was always one or the other was kind of getting that sort of part. And I love that even there, like, and that's like Space Jam's 12 years on from this.
Yeah,
So I love that little joke was put in there as well.
I mean, it shows the respect between the two of them as well.
Yeah,
Like how do you go from making a movie with this guy, making 2 movies with this guy, to competing with him every other movie that's coming out? Like,
yeah. And
and
it's
like you might want a movie so bad, and he picks it up. Do you know what I mean? How do you go, say, a year later and make a movie with him? You know what I mean?
yeah, and that's the thing. The two films were made pretty quickly,
Yeah.
like beside each other as well. Like there wasn't a huge gap between these, like there
I
is
think
with
I
some of the
think
other
that's
films.
what I think that was part of the reasoning that they didn't want, say, a rivalry building from, say, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray there going movie for movie with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, get this done quick in case something does go down between the two boys.
Yeah.
And
No,
thankfully, it doesn't. Nothing ever did.
I know there was a public falling out between them.
Yeah, but nothing
Um,
majorly serious. Like there was
yeah,
never.
I think it was rectified a year or two after, but
Yeah, I don't think there was
but
anything ever major between them. And
no, I
thankfully,
think they all kind of stayed that way, didn't they?
yeah, and thankfully they were able to come back and make this new one.
Yeah,
Which if anyone hasn't seen, honestly, go and check out the new
phenomenal.
one as soon as you can. Like I'm sure it's available somewhere at this point.
Go into Tesco, you can buy it for a tenner.
Yeah, go in there, buy it, watch it. It's a phenomenal.
If
phenomenal film.
you like Ghostbusters 1 and 2,
Yeah,
never mind the other yoke. But if you like 1 and 2, this it's perfect.
yeah. I don't think there's much more we can say other than how, like, to keep lumping praise on this. So
we did actually. We should have mentioned at the start. I think it's a good way of going into it now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We had Creature Feature February last month.
Yeah,
so we're gonna have a good old Murray March.
Yeah, not a very Murray Christmas. We'll have to save that one for a bit later in the year.
That one that'll come towards the end because that's up there as GOAT level in terms of Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go Bill Murray March.
Yeah. The next, like, this entire month is going to be dedicated to the man that is Bill Murray. Now, obviously, we've already covered some films with Bill Murray in them.
Not many, but
we've covered one or two. So it'll be some of his maybe not lesser known, but one or two maybe lesser known. This is obviously a big hitter, though.
Yeah, this is. Arguably I'd say this is his biggest movie.
It's definitely up there. Yeah, I think this could be his biggest film. And there was no, but like when we decided we were going to do a show about Bill Murray, like a month dedicated to Bill Murray, this had to be in it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, unless we had it covered, and then in which case it would have been Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, it still would have been Ghostbusters somewhere, because there's no way we were doing a Bill Murray month without covering Ghostbusters.
No chance. And I think anybody that, if you were doing something like this kind of show and you did a Bill Murray month and didn't have it in it, you deserve to be cancelled.
Yeah, you'd be crucified, you would. But that's it for this week, and we'll be back with another Bill Murray film next week. Until then, good luck.